Hi IED students, now that we have our box created and assembled, we need to add some extra components to this box. For starters, we need some holes through the sides and an axle, as well as a handle to turn the axle. So let's go back to the Part Studio labeled box. This is where we're going to add the various features that we need to go on this box. I am going to hide the three planes so that they're not getting in my way. And I'm going to go to the right side here, and I'm going to start by creating a sketch directly on this side. I'm going to add some lines, but I just want them to be construction lines. So I'm going to additionally click this construction button. So that way when I create the lines, they're not object lines, they are dotted. So I'm going to do that one more time, create a line, make it a construction line. And the purpose of putting these two in here is that it finds the exact center vertically as well as horizontally. So let's go ahead and create a circle from that centermost point, and we're going to give this a diameter of 3/16 of an inch. So our axle is going to have a diameter of 3/16. Now I do want to extrude this, and I want it to go through both my right and left side. So when we hit the extrude key, make sure to just select the hole, choose remove, and now it knows to go the other direction. And then also click on through all. And it doesn't know to keep going unless you also click merge with all. And so that way it knows to continue through the next face. So that takes care of the hole for the axle. Some people might call it a crankshaft, in which case they are both correct. So now that we have the hole, we also want to extrude that same circle to truly create the rest of the crankshaft. So let's go ahead and extrude one more time, except now it won't let me select just that circle. So what we need to do is hover over Sketch 5 in the browser bar and click the visibility so that we can access it one more time. So now we can just select that, and this time we are creating a new part. And so we do want it to be blind because we do want it to have a selected depth. But go ahead and click on second end position. We're going to change the first step to 0.25 to stick out on this side of the box. And then the rest of the depth is going to be 4.75 because we want it to go all the way across and stick out 0.25 on the other end. Let's go ahead and click the check mark. We no longer need to see Sketch 5, so go ahead and hide that again. And we are going to add a couple of items. One is going to be a cap on this end, and one will be a handle on the right side. So if we swivel over to the left end, I am going to create a sketch right on the end of that crankshaft or the axle. And one of the first things I'm going to do is use or project that circle from the axle. And then I'm going to add a circle with that same center point and give it a diameter of 1/2 of an inch. With that ring, I do want to extrude that as a cap. And I don't want it to go this direction. I want it to go back toward the box itself. So I'm going to flip the symbol and then also go up to next. So it knows that when it hits the next face to stop. So there is our cap, just to kind of close that thing off. And then on the right side, I'm going to create a sketch directly on the box. So it's not offset at all, it's directly on the box this time. I'm going to hit the use button so I can use the circle that's already there from the axle. And I'm going to add a circle around it. And this circle will have a diameter of 1 inch. I'm going to create another circle directly above, so be sure to use the helper line. And this first one will have a diameter of 3/16, just like the axle. We're going to use that for a handle peg. And then I'll make another circle that's a little bit bigger than it. The size doesn't truly matter, but a lot of people like a 1/2 inch here. And then I'm also going to dimension from the top circle to the bottom circle here. I want that to be 1.5 inches. And similarly to the pear cam, we're going to add some lines. And I do want it to be tangent. So if you see some tangent icons popping up, definitely use those. There you go. And then we also want to make sure that the lines are tangent to the circle up above. So go ahead and choose the tangent constraint. Click the line and the circle. Click the line and the circle. At the bottom, I know it's already tangent because of the icons that popped up. And then we're going to trim off a couple of those interior pieces. So now it's starting to look a lot more like a handle. Let's go ahead and finish that sketch, and we will extrude that main piece, that main body, to 0.25 inches. Okay, and we've been neglecting our browser bar just a little bit. So part 6 that we had added, that was the first item. That was the axle or crankshaft. So when I go to rename the axle, part 7 was the cap. So axle cap. And then the lowest part here was the handle base. We have one more piece to add, the actual peg that sticks out as the handle of what you would hold to turn this. And so we don't need another new sketch, but I am going to hide my right side just so that I can access the interior of this a little bit more easily. I do need to view sketch 7. And so then I'll hit the extrude. I'll select just that circle, and this will be 1.5 inches. And then I can go back to viewing my right side. I can also re-hide the sketch as needed. And these all kind of came in as different colors, so I'm going to select all 3 of these items. Oops, something happened here. So my handle base and my handle actually got made as one piece. So I'm going to go back to extrusion 9 and click new. There we go. So that now I have an extra part to rename handle. There we go. As I say, I should have 4 parts there. So at this point, we could continue assigning materials. I'm just going to edit the appearance for these parts, and the brown color, I want it to be just a little bit darker. So let's see. I know I ended up, there we go. That looks like a nice kind of mahogany almost. So there's that custom color number if you're looking for it. All right. So we've gotten these created, but just because we put them here in the part studio does not mean that they are in the assembly. So if we go over to the assembly where our box is nice and attached, we do need to insert. And if we open up the drop-down arrow, we can insert the axle cap, the handle, that was the handle peg, and the handle base. And click the green check mark. So at this point, we're going to have one revolute mate only. The only thing that we want to turn freely by itself is the actual axle. So let's choose revolute mate. Click on the circular end and click on the circular end of the hole, and we will create an offset of 0.25 inches. And if that goes the wrong way, be sure to click negative 0.25. But I can see it sticking out perfectly. So that was the only revolute mate. Everything else is going to be a fastened mate because we want everything else to go with it. All right, so on the cap, there are a couple of ways to attach that. There we go. Cap looks good. Now on this handle, it is another fastened mate. I'm going to grab the center point there. And this is a key part. Make sure you stay on the end of the axle, and then we can actually flip the direction. There we go. The reason that we have to attach it to the end as opposed to flush with the box initially is that it won't actually turn if we had done it the other way. All right, last one. Make sure that we get this peg all the way in there. So hover over. There we go. Check mark. Okay, so a quick test to make sure that everything has been assembled correctly is to go to our revolute mate and animate. Click on loop. And you should see the handle turning. It's really hard to see the axle turning. In fact, it's impossible to see the axle turning. However, we know that it is turning, and everything that has been fixed to it is also moving along with it. If your handle is not moving, then you need to stop, delete some of these mates, and try again. So this is our box with the axle subassembly combined.